Hello, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Brigitta Toruño, and welcome to Uno Soul's Chat. Today, I am so honored to be chatting with Elizabeth Liotta, an Uno Soul. She is a teacher, a medical intuitive, and a practitioner of holistic therapies and the Shamanic Arts. And she's an author. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much for having me, Brigitta.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Um, I wanted to say a little bit more about your bio. Elizabeth has studied with well-respected institutions of healing in the United States and with native healers in North, Central, and South America. For 26 years, she has worked to support adults and children in their healing journeys. Many physicians and other health professionals refer clients to Elizabeth because of her ability to help people to heal on all levels. So thank you so much. I feel like I definitely have been a recipient of your healing talent, and I'm very grateful for that. I guess I met you, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, and I've been very blessed to receive your healing, from massage therapy to, is it the fascia? Is that how you
Yes,
say it?
yes, structural
Fascia?
integration, myofascial release. Yes.
Yes, thank you for saying it correctly. And a lot of other things which we'll get into in a little bit. But first, I just want to ask you, how have you been doing during this pandemic?
I've been doing pretty well. I received intuitive information that this time was coming, but when it came, I was still really surprised at just how intense it was and how it was really calling us all to shift on every different level, and sometimes shifting 5 to 10 times a day. So,
Yes.
um, it's been intense, but I also feel kind of like I was made and prepared for this time.
Mm, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. Um, and you know what? I would love to talk about your book. I have your book right here. I don't know if you can see it with my background. Do you have your book there? I have to do it just right, but it's it's called The Way of the Baby: Fertility, Prenatal, and Postnatal Wisdom. And I have read it, and it's really good, and it's just filled with wonderful information. And so thank you for writing that. I'd love to know what made you write it.
Well, a lot of my students and clients have actually been after me for some time to write about my work with fertility, prenatal work, and postnatal care. And over 26 years ago, I started seeing clients, and they would come in and they had been told that there's just no way that they were going to conceive and to just give up on having a family. And yet I could see a spirit baby standing next to them.
Mm,
And of course, they would hold that mama's face and say, "This is my mama. She's going to have me, and I'm coming." And so I was able to reassure the ladies on my table and also their partners that they were going to have a different journey. That's all. And I do believe in combining the allopathic and the holistic.
mm,
I'm a
mm.
very special practitioner in that I can actually see into people's energy fields. And then as a structural specialist, I can see why a woman has not been conceiving, structurally realign her body, charge up her chakras, and give her the energy and the ability to conceive and carry to full term.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful thing, Elizabeth, because I know that a lot of women struggle with this, and I think that you give women hope, that they are going to be able to have their baby that they've been wanting and that has been waiting for them, really. I read this quote by Thich Nhat Hanh, and I hope you don't mind if I share it, because it has so much to do with the work that you're doing in this book. It says, please don't wait until the doctors tell you that you are going to have a baby to begin to take care of it. It is already there. Whatever you are, whatever you do, your baby will get it. Anything you eat, any worries that are on your mind will be for him or her. Can you tell me that you cannot smile? Think of the baby and smile for him, for her, for the future generations. Please don't tell me that a smile and your sorrow just don't go together. It's your sorrow, but what about your baby? It's not his sorrow. It's not her sorrow. I just really love that because it's almost, that whole idea of preparing for your baby.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I studied with Dr. Arvigo in Belize, and she talked about preparing a minimum of 6 months ahead of time, preparing your body, preparing yourself spiritually, emotionally. And I really do like in that beautiful quote that you just read, that it talks about your baby is going to be feeling your emotions, and those can be transferred to the baby. So it's really important to get the support you need during pregnancy. And if you're not going to be emotionally balanced, to realize there's a time to reach out for support so that you and your baby can enjoy that pregnancy. And then after you have actually go back to the delivery, and I speak about it in my book, we'd all like the wonderful, perfect, natural delivery, but we know that that is not always what is going to take place. So keeping an open mind and being educated about the many different ways a baby can come into the world. And I also talk about healthy baby, and healthy mommy. So
Yes, I
it's
highlighted
important.
that page. I
Yes.
highlighted it.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah, I
important
love that.
during that delivery to just stay as peaceful and loving as possible and open your mind to whatever way that baby needs to get here for you to be safe and for that baby.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's so true. Can you tell us your story that led you to write this book?
Well, I have many different stories.
Yes,
Many
and you
different
shared a
stories.
lot of great
Yeah,
stories in your book. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So I don't think there was any just one story other than the fact that there are just so many holistic ways to support people in their journeys that just aren't being talked about in the mainstream. And it's really time for them to be mentioned. And once again, to combine that holistic with the intelligence and wisdom of the allopathic.
Yeah.
It's time for us to be talking about these things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, I was wondering if you could show us one of your techniques that you use for the work that you do.
Absolutely. Well, I work with every kind of condition you can think of. So it's not just fertility and pregnancy. So I can see the field, and the field is made up of millions of lines and waves of light and information that rush vertically and horizontally. And this is a physics thing, not just a woo-woo spiritual thing. And I'm able to see these waves in lines of light. And whatever conditions we have or life experiences we have are due to the patterns that are in those waves and the different frequencies they hold. So one of the instruments I use to kind of untangle some of those patterns are tuning forks. And I have a tuning fork right here. It's called a 174, but it will also morph and kind of become whatever frequency is needed, because I am an energetic being who is kind of gifted and can send different frequencies through this fork to support it as well. But the 174 is one of the most powerful tuning forks you can use because it puts high, medium, and low notes back into your field. If you're having extreme experiences or even feeling like you might be on the edge of being bipolar, it's because you have too many high notes and too many low notes in your field and not enough medium notes. So this fork helps to put high, medium, and low notes back into the field. And I'll just strike it just for a moment so you can hear what it sounds like.
Yeah. It had a high, I heard a high note. High note.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it will sound different according to whatever kind of work it's doing in the person's field. But I have the gift of being able to see the frequencies come off this fork and unite with your frequencies in the field.
Oh,
And I have another fork. I work with several different forks. This is the 528. And you can hear that that's a different tone. And so it does a little bit different work. It does a little DNA repair. It's also tuned to the high frequency of love. And we know that love is a very powerful healing tool.
yes. Thank you for sharing that. That's so
Yeah.
interesting. And so you mentioned with the first one, for instance, that it can help people who think they might be bipolar or, have those tendencies. So in other words, it's not just about healing at the physical level, but also the mental and emotional level.
Absolutely. And also, I just mentioned that we're made from those waves of lines and light and information. So my work takes us away from thinking of our physical bodies as hard and solid. We
Mm.
really aren't. And so we can be shifted and transformed and reconfigured in amazing ways. And I help people to really be empowered and to remember how they're truly made. And also coming from a different place, a lot of different thoughts are just like you're going to get older and things are going to happen to you and you're just going to have to hurt and you're just going to have to make do with all of that. And it's just not true. We're regenerating on a regular basis. So I bring my clients to a place where they're thinking of themselves as vibrant and able to regenerate.
Exactly. I love that. It's about getting to a place of vitality, right?
Absolutely.
And it can happen at any age when we set our minds to it, but also to have the support of someone like you who can really support us at all our different levels and get us aligned, really, right?
Right. And during this time of the pandemic, I have really told people your immune system is like gold. So gone are the times where you can push yourself too far or run your battery below empty and think you're going to still do things. So I really, not only can I charge you back up and get you realigned, but I'm going to teach you how to do that for yourself too.
Right. I think that that's the beauty of what you do, is that you also teach the self-care so that the person can do some of the work themselves every day until until it's time to see you again. But I think that that's really important, for each individual to be able to learn that and take the reins ourselves from someone that has taught us well, someone like you that is an expert and who has a lot of the information that we need.
Definitely.
Yeah, so thank you for that. In your book, there's something that there's wording that I really loved, and this is chapter 13. It says, "Who is your child?" and it's page 59, and it says, talking about the baby, "This is a soul who chose to come into your family. Explore the why of it all. This child knew who you would be in every aspect, and that is why you were chosen." And I just love that, Elizabeth. The whole idea of, the babies choose who the mother, who the parents are going to be, and for us to be open to that child, to that baby, without putting strict expectations around who this baby has to be as they're growing up, what they need to do, but just to just sort of feel like it's such a blessing that they chose us as mothers, and that we will protect them, but also let them flow into who they're supposed to be.
Yes, and I really believe that is a part of the transformation that we're living in now. You are going to ask who are you, and why did you come to me? Why did you come into my family? And
Mhm.
part of the transformation will be in what we call education, because right now it's kind of blanket training people instead of saying, hey, what are your gifts and talents and what are your dreams to be? And we're going to start supporting our children from that place.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. And it makes me think of um how can we teach some of this to our children, because they are such intuitive beings. And how can we, what is a tool that can be taught to a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, almost in from the terms of, again, sort of taking care of themselves, something that's easy, that they would just do for to keep themselves, without having to bring in so much conditioning from their parents and those around them.
Well, one of the things is we are all natural born sound healers. So they already know how to heal themselves
Mm.
and balance themselves. And it's by making sounds and noise and sometimes crying, sometimes screaming. And you, as a parent, can actually encourage them to make their sounds. And we're moving into a time where it's going to be important to be able to feel your emotions. And you notice a toddler, they'll feel their emotion very intensely, but if you let them have it, the energy winds down out of it, and then they're moving on to the next toy like it never happened.
Mm.
So they kind of already know how to process things. We have to support them in that processing. They also know how to move. So you watch a toddler dance, they move every single joint and diaphragm in their body and know how to release that. So
Yeah.
really keep them singing, keep them dancing. And, of course, there are certain places you maybe don't want your child to scream. However, you still want to be supportive in making sure that they're just not stuffing that down. And
Mm.
people in society are going to have to get a little more comfortable with allowing a child to make a noise that they need to make to regulate, instead of thinking, oh, that child is not well behaved. It's like, no, what is that child trying to tell us?
Mm.
And what can we do to help level out the energy around that child so that everybody can return to peace?
Wow, that's beautiful, Elizabeth. It really is. It's so, so true. What a great reminder, to all of us that are, everybody that's listening, because that's what it is. It's just going back to allowing them to express themselves with their voice and with the dancing or movement. There's someone named Debasish Mrida, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. And he said, a baby is a dancing joy of life. And that's kind of what you're saying.
Mhm.
That really, they come in with such natural, innate joy and beauty and love, that we all as adults can definitely learn from.
Well, and I was going to say, and that's the true medicine. And it's not just learn from, but remember, we are
Yeah.
like that too. If we would dance and move and sing and process an emotion and move it through, we'd all be a lot happier.
Yeah.
And I really think every household should have a drum or a sound instrument.
Mm.
Instead of thinking when an emotion or a feeling hits us, who is doing this to me? Or what do I eat some food to numb myself or drink something to numb myself? Now we're going to be thinking, okay, it's important to feel this emotion. All emotions are important, right? But when we've had enough of that emotion, we can grab our drum and start toning and chanting and just move it right through. And
Yeah.
we're empowered that way.
Absolutely. And I have a drum collection, and I've been really into my djembe drum in these last few years. And so I have 5 grandkids. I'm very blessed that it's almost 6. So that's a very, very
Wonderful.
huge blessing. And so I do drum circles here with the grandkids. And they just love it. They just automatically like go to the different drums, and I let each one lead with a particular rhythm. And it's been really nice. I really enjoy that, and just seeing the joy in their eyes, from being allowed to make noise and music.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, great. I was wondering, do you have another book in mind?
I do. I'm working on my second book, and it's called The Return of Sacred Relationship with Ourselves, Each Other, and the Planet.
Very nice.
Yeah.
When
And it's
can we
about this
find that?
time that we're in.
Yeah, yeah, tell us about it.
Well, this time that we're in is really meant to make people awake and aware. And I know it's such a huge transformation on every level, but it's meant to be because we have expanded awareness. And of course, this technology that's come along it's actually really meant to be a beautiful thing because it's allowing nothing to be hidden. So if nothing can be hidden and we have expanded awareness, then we can start changing the things that are not beneficial for us as humans and as a society. So every single program that we've made for education or politics or medicine or just so many other things has to change. It has to change. And we're capable of peace, and we are capable of love, and we are capable of making sure each human has enough food and shelter and clean water and can contribute back to this world in loving, beneficial ways. And so that's a little bit about what my book is about. It's how to help yourself transform and how to feel supported during a time that can seem a little scary and chaotic to some people.
Oh my gosh, that sounds wonderful. I can't wait to read it. Around when do you think it'll come out?
I'm hoping to release it around June of this year.
Oh, wonderful. That's right around the
Mhm.
corner.
Yes,
So then I can read it and we can talk again.
I would love that.
Great. And I was wondering, do you have any workshops or events in mind that we can attend?
Well, I'll be listing those on my website. I teach a shamanic arts program every other year, but I am going to be doing some sound healing workshops for children coming up.
Oh,
And I
good.
also am going to be doing some retreats for fertility support for women, especially for women who have had a lot of miscarriages and just really need to get away and get rebalanced and come back to a place where they're ready to try again.
Oh, that's wonderful. In my family, um, I do have someone who has gone through that, and it's just a lot of grief. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, right? To acknowledge the grief of the miscarriages, to and to allow yourself to feel it, to let go, so that you can go to the next step and get, maybe at that, get help from you if they haven't been to you before, so that they can get the alignment and the healing done.
It is, and unfortunately, miscarriage has almost been like a dirty word in our society. And really, and they act like, oh, you should just move on from that. And not everybody just moves on from that. And another person who is involved is the partner a lot of times. And I've had to work with the partners of people because they almost have a little PTSD for worrying about, their spouse. Is she going to be sad again? Is this going to happen to her again? And there's so much fear on both sides. So we just think in fertility a lot of times only about that woman, but there's sometimes a whole family that needs support during that process.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. And we will put your website address when we on this post, so that people can see it and go to your website to find out about your different workshops and events.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was wondering, Elizabeth, how do you nourish your soul? You're such a giving person and a healer. How do you nourish your soul?
Well, especially during this pandemic, I had to really, really take care of myself. So I have slept more in the last 2 years than I have ever slept, because I listen to my immune system, and when it says it needs to recharge, I recharge it. I also receive holistic therapies myself on a regular basis to keep my battery charged up. And then really connecting with Mother Earth and nature is very important. I actually lay my body on the earth. There is an earth energy exchange that takes place, and she will nurture and nourish us. She will take our hucha, which is heavy energy, and recycle it and give us wonderful, loving, nurturing life force energy. And then, of course, my children and my good friends, but also I have horses, and horses have just really such huge electromagnetic fields, and just being in their presence is amazingly healing.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So you definitely have some good ways that you're taking care of
Oh,
yourself.
so many. And of course, drumming and singing and all that good stuff too.
Yes. And dancing.
And dancing for sure.
What is a moment of savoring the deliciousness for you that you've experienced in the last year or two? Something that stands out.
I feel like I have been brought to the present time. I'm not in the past. I'm not in the future. I stay in the present and really enjoy and feel grateful for anything that I can do, especially my health, but also just really being with whoever I'm with and just seeing their light and their beauty and appreciating them. To me, that's delicious.
Oh, that's so good. That's wonderful. Yeah. And I wondered if you could leave us with some words of wisdom, Elizabeth.
I think it's more to just really trust in yourself. We're made in such a magical way, and we didn't really come here to suffer or to struggle. A lot of things we do create that, but this is an unlimited universe with so much magic and miracles in it. I kind of wake up every morning as an adventurer or an explorer. And so I guess that would be my words of wisdom, is wake up in the morning and be curious. Who are you going to meet? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Instead of having attachment to what it has to look like. And I think you'll find that you're going to get surprised in beautiful ways.
Oh, those great words of wisdom. Thank you so much. This continues to be a powerful time to love each other, to unite, and to live in peace. And thank you so much for joining me, Elizabeth. I honor the light in you.
Thank you so much.